Hi everyone. I have I have been instructed by what appears to be a mechanical man that he wishes to talk about lizards today.
Hello, I like Lizardmen. Could you tell from my face?
Um,
Who doesn't love giant dinosaurs? Let's be honest. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? Because if you say you don't like dinosaurs, you have no soul.
I know, right? Like every kid, like even if like you weren't absolutely in love with dinosaurs, even as a kid, you were at least somewhat fascinated by them.
Hmm I was
uh,
going to make a comment about the Jurassic World movies, but I don't want to get this video demonetized in the first 60 seconds. So,
Well, fun fact. Speaking of Jurassic, so obviously, I'm sure you've seen Jurassic Park, then, right?
yes, because Jurassic Park is a great film.
Yes. So where I will be working, I'll be working on a cruise ship that just goes around Hawaii. One of the days itinerary, we literally just sail past where the opening shot in Jurassic Park is.
Nice. So we're derailing the topic already. Hello.
It's a podcast. What
I'm
do you
gonna
expect?
take us off topic just a little bit more. So, Universal Studios announced that their entire Jurassic World slash Jurassic Park attraction is being closed.
What, the river ride?
No, the whole thing, the entire section of the park.
What?
Yeah,
Like I get the
it's
ride because
being
the ride's been
closed August next year.
For renovation or permanently?
Permanently. They are closing it down and and it's gonna be gone.
now. I know there's two of them. Which are the one in Florida or the other one?
California.
California.
Oh, the California one. Because I'm like, okay, yeah. Because I watched a video. Someone did, I forget, where they were. I think it was the Florida one. Is like it works, but it's kind of in like it's safe, but it's in like disrepair where
Disrepair.
like like parts of it don't work. Like
Mm.
the raft goes by something where an event's supposed to trigger, but because they haven't repaired the animatronic, it just does nothing or just stands there and it's just awkward.
Because I actually got to go on that ride on holiday with my family. This was back in like 1999, maybe 2000, like so years and years ago at Universal Studios in Hollywood. And I'll say this now, I absolutely love that ride. It was great.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I went to the one in Florida at around give or take around the same era and it was fun.
Yeah,
Mm.
they announced they're gonna close it and replace it with something else entirely, so it's just gonna be gone.
I guess you could say
Well,
it's extinct.
uh,
Anyway, hi, I am Fiora. I am your host of lore that appears to be blessed by Zinch, and I have with me Ginger.
hello, I'm Ginger Senpai, aka Scott, aka the person who edits most of the videos Fee does.
And what is your experience with Warhammer, Ginger?
Literally, this podcast, and I had a friend in college who was into 40K. So I remember one road trip we took, he gave me the whole like, here's the overview of the world, and I understand that 40K and Warhammer Fantasy are two different things, but kind of the same thing. But also like a few of like the streams you've done where you've played Warhammer, and I think I played like Vermintide for like an hour. That's my experience with Warhammer.
All right, and we have a special guest with us today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Remleiz, and I'm from the channel 40k Theories, which we normally talk about 40k related stuff. And I'm here talking about Warhammer Fantasy stuff for a change. And we got a whole 5 minutes before we got to do the intros. Typical podcast finagling and faffing about. What can you say? It's great.
Anyway, hi everyone, and we're gonna talk about Lizardmen here shortly. But again, we have to give you the appetizer before we get to the meat and potatoes. So you know how this works. Ginger, how was your week?
Let's see here. My week, I'm trying to think of anything. Any real major events that happened this week. I did some work. I did some union work where it was basically what's called pipe and drape. If you've been to any convention, and not just anime conventions, any kind of conventions, there's usually at the tables, there's the curtains and the poles. Those are kind of the term in my industry is called pipe and drape. And literally had to tear down, an event. And those are kind of like, they're easy, but they're also really damn boring because you're like, okay, do this again and again and again. But also be careful that you don't drop poles on your feet. That's always fun. I'm trying to think of anything else I've been playing a bit of Majora's Mask because as mentioned in previous episodes, I have my Steam Deck, and oh boy, parts of that game I'm like, how do they expect somebody to play this without a strategy guide? Because it's from the era in which Remley, I'm sure you remember that era when every video game you then bought a strategy guide for.
Yeah, I remember that era, but I really bought strategy guys. I'm not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but it was just one of those eras where you just had to try and work it out yourself and just try every single obtuse thing imaginable. Like, okay, do I need to set fire to the spider web? Do I need to jump down, this pit? I do that and I break through the spider web. Okay, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. I know I had a bunch of other games on the emulator. Oh yeah, I also had Tony Hawk's Underground. Oh, what other games I've been playing on that emulator? But it's just fun. I still have so much fun playing older games, and my goal is to finish games that I never finished. Like Majora's Mask is a perfect example because I had the strategy guide. I knew what to do, but I only got as far as the Snow Mountain Temple when I was a kid, so I never got to finish the game. So that's kind of my goal to finish Majora's Mask. I'm not gonna 100% it. Though I think you have to 100% it to get the actual good ending. But that's one of my goals is to finish that. And I feel like I've been up to some other things this week. Played some guitar, learned a bit in Blender. I'm sure something I'll be like, oh yeah, but there's nothing that really kind of jumps out at me as what I've been up to this week that I can think of.
I watched an anime that's I think sucks that a lot of people are like, this is good. I'm like, no, this is terrible.
What?
It's not Blood of Zeus, is it?
Solo leveling.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Don't know about it. Let me guess. It's one of those. Is it kind of like Sword Art Online minus the if you die in the game you die, or is it
Oh, the game is just real life, and it's like everyone else is an NPC and he's a player. And that's literally like the entire concept is there can only be one player, so everyone else in the world is an NPC, which is why all their power ratings are static and why the players can improve. And I'm just like, okay, this is really dumb and clearly written by someone who doesn't play video games very much, because it sounds like you just discovered the concept of grinding for experience points and then tried to make an anime out of it.
Oh, now see you mentioning that reminded me. I don't know. Do we want to jump ahead and do it later to media we've watched, or kind of smush that into what we've done this week? Because that reminds me of what I've actually been watching.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think I mentioned it last week, and I've been continuing. One trick I had learned when I went to Otakon last weekend, I watched this really cool. I went to this panel called Anime Training is Whack. It was done by somebody who's a professional runner, but also a big anime fan. And she went. I think you would have actually enjoyed this feat. It had kind of your energy, but your energy, but different, but in a good way. But anyway, she went in explaining talking about how this kind of training, just lifting heavy things, and she a perfect example. She gave the beach training scene from My Hero Academia, where she's Deku hasn't gotten any powers yet he's suddenly expected to lift a refrigerator and go and so on and so forth. But the second half of her panel was talking about ways to no, here's how you realistically train, how you realistically get in shape. And one of the pieces of advice she gave, especially for cardio, is be on a treadmill and just start watching anime is a great way to kind of get yourself moving without it having to feel oh great, now I gotta be bored. So I've been catching up on a bunch of anime. I've been watching a little bit of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but the one I really want to highlight that I mentioned I think last week or a previous one is My Dress Up Darling. I'm loving the show because it's like it's the opposite of like your problem you have with the show, Fee. The writer or writers of the show, they know the cosplay experience. They know like what makes a cosplayer tick, what they love about it, the challenges, the rewards, all of it. And I'm just like watching it. And I've only cosplayed casually. Like I've never competed. I've had someone else make most of my cosplays, but I've still been in that experience. And it's like unless somehow the show just takes this sudden dip, which I feel it's not because it's been really consistent. And it's like it's passed a lot of my test because it, in my adult age, like as much as I love anime, a lot of like anime, it's like great, more high schooler problems. And yes, My Dress Up Darling is set in high school, but they have people act like human beings would for the most part. Like, there's one scene where like the main guy like runs away, but literally the gal then chases him going, "No, I know exactly where you went. What the hell's going on?" So it's like it's always the trope where a lot of like shown in anime or whatever, where it's like just goddamn talk already. This anime does this without like it causing the plot to end. In fact, it uses it to continue the plot, is them discussing the problem. I can't recommend it enough. Though advice, do not watch this one around your parents or in public, because oh boy, this one's horny.
So is this one of those where the needle is sitting on the line and the line is anime hentai?
It's kind of there's a term for it where it's not hentai, and I forget there's a legit term for it
Ecchi.
where it's. Thank you. Yeah, I would put it in ecchi territory, but it's also just it's really well written. But yeah, ecchi is I would put My Dress Up Darling definitely in that category. There's never any, genitals shown, but oh boy, does it get close.
All right, Remleiz, have you seen any media this week? Anything you wanna talk about?
I haven't really been spending much time watching or watching many shows or playing many games or anything like that. I've just been so flooded with work. But one program I have been diving in and out of, it's on Netflix. It's a show called Physical 100. It's like this Korean endurance contest. You get all these athletes, bodybuilders, wrestlers, gymnasts, whatever, and they got to do all these tasks, and the winner gets like a shit ton of money. And they had like one episode where it was like they had a bunch of team challenges based on Greek myths.
Mm-hmm.
So you had one like doing like the challenge of Atlas, where they had to lift up like this 300-pound fake rock, essentially, hold it above their heads, for as long as they can. And you got these two big buff Korean blokes who are like holding it above their head for like 2 hours straight, and I was like, Jesus Christ!
I think I could maybe do that. I could challenge that maybe, let's say, 20 minutes tops. 2 hours, my God, my body would disintegrate.
And again, those rocks weighed 300 pounds.
Well, hold on. 300 pounds for 2 hours? Holy crap.
Like, and their bodies like shaking, they were just drenched in sweat. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's impressive.
Though that does remind me, I don't know if a great picture to look up. It's Olympic body types. It's a great way to show like it's this big wide picture. In fact, where it shows like all the different body types that are in the Olympics, not just because it's a great to kind of like smash the everyone must have 6-pack abs.
Oh no, these guys who got through to 2 hours, they had like the big strongman guts kind of thing, the big barrel body, the proper strongman body, like turn of the century strongman shape.
Yeah, the strongman, even like I forget. Oh man, there's the YouTuber who he competes in the strongman competition. He's like, no, his build is different. And even if you look in the picture I sent, like it was interesting. Of at least I think I remember I counted it like in the males, only like of all at least the categories they picked, only technically 2 or 3 have the quote unquote perfect abs, and even them you're kind of like they're the closest to it. Like even the bodybuilder, if you look in the picture, who would technically has the closest. He doesn't have. He's considered, amazing fit for that. Even he does not have the epitome because, surprise, surprise, 6-pack abs. No matter how hard you work out at it, it's genetic. So even if you have you are the most dedicated. You go to the gym. You push yourself and you eat right. Some people you'll never get 6-pack abs because of just your genes.
Oh, of course, yeah. There was also another challenge in that show, the challenge of Sisyphus, where they have to push like a boulder uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, and basically like you have to do it within a certain time limit, and they're getting slower each time because of how heavy the boulder is and how high you have to climb.
Yeah.
It's really, really intriguing stuff. I recommend.
Yeah, like competition shows like this, like
It.
I love the idea of the Olympics. I hate the politics of it, but like the idea of like is really cool. But yeah, no, this show I will definitely check out though because we're talking about the Olympics. Please tell me you know about the sharpshooter meme from the Olympics.
I've seen it, but I've not been paying attention to the Olympics, to be honest with you. So
I'll give you the quick story. So basically, the guy from Turkey shows up at the sharpshooting competition. Everyone has these like Trigun and JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, weird gadgets on the head. He shows up in a t-shirt. You don't see it in the front shot, but on the side shot, he's wearing earplugs. He doesn't even close one eye. He shoots with both eyes, and he gets silver. But here's the fun part. He actually scored the highest.
So if he scored the highest, how come he got silver?
Oh, because he scored the highest overall, but the way they did the shooting competition was they spread your score out over the course of 3 rounds. So he won 2 of the 3 rounds and came in second place in one round. But he technically scored higher than everyone else, and everyone else is so this is his shooting stance. This is what he looks like the entire time. And the weird part is the partner shooting and the female competition. She got silver too, and she shoots the exact same way.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, nobody exactly.
Everyone else has zoom lenses, anti-glare lenses, weird shooting stances, all this other stuff, and he's just like, eh. And I'm like, honey, if you were trying to convince us you're not a hitman, you failed.
Yeah, that's the irony is like also the meme's been going around. It's like, all right, don't draw attention to yourself, get silver. But the joke is, no one remembers who got gold in this competition. Everyone remembers Yosef, who got silver, because he has such dad energy to him. But what's great about him too, and just because we could go on this, is he didn't even stay for the Olympics. Also, it was a team event, so like as you mentioned, Fee, like even though he got highest, his teammate got lower, and the team they were competing against got higher. Thus, why they got silver. And
but like. His teammate got lower, and everyone's convinced, no, she did that on purpose because this is 300%. Turkey just sent 2 hitmen to the Olympics.
Oh yeah, and the hilarious thing too is he did not stay for he did his event and did his thing he was supposed to do, and then he just went back home. And if you see footage of him coming home, he's treated as though he won gold. Like everyone is so hyped for him. And what's great is he was asked in an interview why he went to the Olympics. He went, I just wanted to win a medal for my daughter, or it was his son. Either way, it was for his kid. And there's also a follow-up picture of him just chilling with his cat. The dude, I love the dude. Like, I will cheer at the next Olympics for this dude. I love him. And also the Korean gal who was competed too. She also got silver, and the little keychain she has, that's her daughter's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyways, let's talk about lizard people.
Please.
All right. So, as usual, I have a quote to lead us into the lizard people. And the quote is thus: before elves, before dwarves, before men, the old ones arrived upon the world when it was nothing but chaos and cold. They had a great plan. We are the last of their servants, and only by our hand shall the great plan be restored, with the total defeat of the usurping younger races. We're going to talk about genocidal maniacs.
They are the keepers of the one's plan.
Now, I have to point this out. Having so Doodle handed me her Lustria book I tried to find other Lizardmen stuff. Most of it is just like is just the army books and the rule books.
Mhm.
But what I did find is I have to say this to start with about the Great Plan. No one knows what the Great Plan actually is.
Nope. Because it's been so long and they have to go off prophecies and gold tablets and stuff. It's like, okay, I think this is what they want. We can't quite tell, but
And it's not just that.
gonna wing
It's every single skink priest and slan has a different interpretation of the Great Plan that they're trying to enact.
So it's, for lack of a better comparison, it's like Christianity, where every denomination thinks they have the correct interpretation of it.
Yes.
Though also, so pumping the brakes. So if this is to be, the quote is to be correct, lizard people are the oldest in terms of they've existed the longest? Question mark.
Yep.
Yeah. So lizard people are from a time before everyone. Lizard people were the first things the old ones put onto the planet. And they think that everyone else doesn't belong here.
Now, did everyone evolve from them, or were they the first here and then the gods went, okay?
The old ones also did create the elves, and they also created the dwarves.
Yeah,
But they kind of lost touch with their heritage, essentially. Though it has been rumored that some of the High Elf mages did actually learn magic originally from the Slan.
And how, like, the orcs may have accidentally, through a bureaucratic error, been sent here by the lizard ones, by the old ones.
Well, okay, this is the second bureaucratic error we've talked about. First one being in theory, the orcs being the first one, and now we're talking second. This is the second. Oops, I meant to put it here, and it accidentally went there.
Oh no! So they made we know that they made the lizardmen on purpose to be their servants, and the reason why slans look like giant, super fat toads is because they were made in the they were made in the old one's image.
Yeah, and that was actually strongly hinted at in the 5th edition rulebook, because actually 5th edition army book rather, because it said like only the old ones could spawn slan, and even though like skinks could spawn skinks, saurus could spawn saurus, crocs could spawn crocs, etc., but only old ones could spawn slan, which is why the slan were themselves a dying race. Which is kind of funny when you think about it, considering how in Age of Sigmar, some of the slan around were some of the same slan from Warhammer Fantasy. They're still alive. Except now they have spaceships.
Okay. Slan, are that another name for lizardmen? What are Slan?
The Slan are basically the rulers of the Lizardman society, but they're giant frogs. They're giant magical frogs.
So I'm gonna send you a picture of a Slan so you get an idea.
Yeah, because there's many levels of frog people.
So this is.
Oh, okay, that kind.
And they ride around on magical platforms because they're too fat to get up and walk.
The one
except for Lord Mazdamundi, he rides a Stegodon.
Oh yeah, he rides a dinosaur.
Yeah, he rides a giant Triceratops.
The last one you just sent me, Fee, that looks like because I've been playing it, that looks like a mini boss you have to defeat in Zelda.
Yes, they literally have look. The Zelda and the Lizardmen might have had a discussion about motifs to make it just different enough that they're not the same.
Yeah, it's hey, can I copy your homework? Sure, just change it a little bit so the teacher doesn't get suspicious.
Ginger, I'm going to send you the original Lord Mazdamundi art with him riding his giant dinosaur.
And like that, every single Nintendo fan hates us.
Wait, okay. His giant dinosaur. Fee, we've mentioned weird like creatures, dragons. Actual legit dinosaurs exist in Warhammer Fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Lizardmen today, we're going to talk about Lustria and why you should never ever go there, because it's like Australia but with nightmares.
Wait, but how?
Well, technically,
Like-
it's more like those memes like you're going to Brazil because it is
Oh,
Brazil.
okay, that makes more sense because I'm like, Australia already has stuff even in our world that will kill you, but Brazil, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It's Brazil, but it has carnosaurs.
Instead of carnival, you have carnosaurs.
The carnosaur is technically a taxonomic group because it includes things like Megalosaurus and stuff like that in the real world. But yeah.
So obviously, this world did not have the comet that wiped out dinosaurs, I guess.
No, the comet came later because that came when the Skaven decided to crash a moon into the planet.
Yeah, they decided to Chernobyl themselves. Yeah, that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's how we're starting this discussion off. There's a great plan, and there are dinosaurs, and no one actually knows what the great plan is, and everyone's interpretation is so radically different that one person's version of the great plan might involve you not getting killed, and the other version might involve you having to sacrifice yourself on an altar.
Okay, so because what is the original great plan?
We don't know.
All we know is that it got kind of fucked up when the polar warp gates collapsed, and that caused the realm of chaos to start seeping into the planet.
Yep.
Now, is this another example, because we've ranted about this before, of lazy writing where they, what I mean by that is the example of somehow it happened, or is it like the writers know, but they're on purpose never going to tell us?
The writers definitely know what the original great plan was, but it has been decided that if anyone ever knew it, it would ruin the Lizardmen's lore, so no one knows.
Okay, I am okay with that as long as like there is a lore Bible and lore Bible, for those who don't know, it is almost any show long running will have things that explain, okay, these characters act this way, this is the history behind all of them. Okay, so as long as like it's in some form of lore Bible, I'm okay with that. It's just when they're like, oh, we don't know, it just happened. I'm like, no, that's lazy writing. But anyways, okay, so it's the plan was a plan, but in lore wise, no one knows it.
Effectively.
What is at least the common thing of the plan? Is there like at least some kind of what is the plan's goal?
We don't know.
Knowing Warhammer, it's probably something to do with stopping chaos. Knowing Warhammer, because the same with in every setting.
Yeah, it's
of Warhammer.
probably something to do with stopping chaos.
Probably something to do with that.
But part of what also the plan involves is that more or less, according to the Lizardmen, any race that can potentially fall to chaos, which is everyone else, doesn't deserve to live.
Wait, so like how we discussed previously, how halflings are pretty much immune to magic, the lizard folks are immune to chaos?
They're not. How should I phrase this? They cannot be corrupted in the same way that would cause them to serve chaos. They can be corrupted in a way that would result in them
Mutating?
not mutating so much as going crazy, insanity. That's the term I'm looking for. I was trying to look for I didn't want to say mental disorder. But yeah, more or less they go crazy. And so the point is that they will eventually realize that they've gotten, hopefully a part of the great plan, according to them, is that you realize that you have been exposed to far too much and that it's time to return yourself to the, well, okay. Dear audience, I'm going to describe this stuff this way because I have no other way in which to describe it. The sacred jizz. So, I'm going to explain now how lizardmen reproduce. Lizardmen are completely asexual. They have no genitalia. Both of you are silent. Are you still here?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm here,
just waiting
but
for you
it's
to carry
also
on.
not. But also at the same time, I'm not surprised because we talked about the orcs, and it's like, and as a side quick tangent, I'm like, I get it, magic, but I'm like, no, that's not how biology works.
Basically, they reproduce in a manner akin to amphibians. Like they lay a spawn in pools. Essentially,
No, they don't lay a spawn.
in older editions they did. In
So
older editions they did because it was specifically described in 50s. I know that for a fact.
you're correct. In first and second edition they did, but after that it was changed. Lizardmen are completely asexual beings. They spawn from pools of what can only be described as sacred creamy milk stuff, so literally sacred jizz. And spawnings are have to either be prophesied in advance, or there's a lot of the time where they didn't realize the spawning was going to happen. It's just the skink priest happened to be in the right place at the right time when a bunch of Saurus meat robots came walking out of the sacred jizz. And they don't know where they're going to happen all the time either. There are times where entire spawnings of thousands just show up one day from out of the jungle and go, yeah, we spawned 2 weeks ago. What?
Now, is this like, so there isn't a central, so we don't have to keep using the word, there isn't a central spawning area. In theory, these spawning areas can, in the right conditions, just appear.
The central
There are spawning pools in each of the temple cities.
There are spawning pools in each of the temple cities, yes. However, the stuff that creates lizardmen that the old ones left behind is not centralized to just those cities. Something as simple as the spawning pool overflowing from heavy rain can result in the stuff that is going to create lizardmen going downstream somewhere and spawning deep in the jungle.
Why do I feel like this is a commentary unintentionally on like man's effect on nature and pollution?
Quite possibly. So the old ones try to use the lizardmen try to use the old ones' great plan prophecies to predict spawnings. But the reason why this is one of the reasons why the lizardmen can't keep their campaigns or stuff going. It's because they don't have the ability to control their reproduction, so they could have 100, or they could go an entire year and only have 100 lizardmen show up, or they could go an entire year and have 10,000 show up.
So it's unpredictable reproduction, basically.
Yes, completely unpredictable reproduction. At least from our point of view. From their point of view, it's all a part of the Great Plan. Though when an unpredictable spawning does happen, they have to go back and reinterpret hundreds of thousands of years of prophecy to try to figure out why it happened.
And yet, we still have no idea if there's any link between the lizardmen and the Zotes, who are another reptilian species.
No idea if there's a link.
No, we don't know if there's a link between them or not.
And then the other part here about this is this is a lot of this information, by the way, is from the newest Warhammer book on Lustria and Lizardmen that Games Workshop released at Gen Con 3 weeks ago.
Oh, was that the Cubicle 7 one?
Yeah. It's the big blue one. Doodle has a physical copy. She let me read some of it and borrow it for a little bit, and she gave me a summary of a bunch of parts of it that I didn't quite get to. But yeah, lizardmen spawnings are weird. Lizardmen society in general is all centered around the Great Plan. And when I mentioned Saurus meat robots, Ginger, I want you to brace yourself.
Okay, after orcs, it's going to take a lot, but okay, my body is as ready as it ever will be.
Okay, so this is a Saurus warrior, and this is also a Saurus warrior, and you're going to start noticing that they have different scale tones and different crests and This is also a Saurus warrior. By the way, all of these have models in the most recent army that have these different features.
Not gonna lie, I actually think of the three, the first one looks pretty cool. It's obviously I like the art, I think of them, but I don't know why you were thinking that somehow this would freak me out. This looks
Okay.
kind of cool.
I refer to them as meat robots.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they are. Saurus are incredibly dumb.
Mm.
Like, let me illustrate how dumb this is. If you, the lizard man, who is a skink priest leading the army, have some human allies, unless you have made it very, very abundantly clear and continuously reinforce that these human allies are your allies, the Saurus might forget and eat them.
Basically, to use to reference Star Trek, the skinks are the Vorta and the Saurus are the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. And and this is kind of to go previously. I'm guessing the answer. There's no way to educate them. They just unfortunately their limit of intelligence is hard locked, and you can't make them smarter.
So
They are hollow, but I do want to say that they're not necessarily dumb. It's just that their intelligence is focused solely on battle. Like in terms of tactics, like a Saurus Soulblood is an incredibly skilled tactician. It's just that that's all they're bred to do.
Yeah.
They're bred to fight. They're bred to protect. They're bred to defend. They're bred to kill. They're not like
So-
skinks. Skinks are bred to be diplomats and scholars and
So-
scribes
so-
and
so-
ambassadors.
Oh.
So also to emphasize this, they have at baseline, the average Saurus warrior has about 10 words,
Okay.
and 3 of them are the Great Plan. So to give an example of how a skink would make it very clear that you're not food, is they would point at you and they'd go, "Great tool for great plan."
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of how Saurus are. They're really dumb. So what you would think would be the Saurus would be like with the orcs, the bigger ones are in charge. No. The skinks are the ones technically in charge unless a Slan is present. So the small short ones are the ones in charge.
Nice.
Except on the battlefield, because if a Slan's not present on a battlefield, then the one in charge will be the Saurus Soulblood.
Yeah. If the only exception is the actual combat tactics. And then the other part is Saurus do get smarter as they get older, but also you have weird spawnings, such as there is what's called the Great White Saurus, and the reason he's called the Great White Saurus is because, well, he was albino when his entire spawning was albino, and his entire spawning is all extremely intelligent, which is weird, and apparently resulted in, and I'm going to quote here, 1,000 years of reassessing the Great Plan.
So the guy, the
Sounds about
picture
right.
you just sent me, this dangerous dude is actually really smart.
Hold on.
That one I sent you, that's an old blood. So basically, they're like
Oh,
equivalent to a general.
His name is Gorok. This is what he looks like. He and his entire spawning were really, really smart for no apparent known reason.
Okay, so that answers my question. So it's one of those, in theory, if the equivalent of rolling a character sheet, if you roll it right, they can, in theory, be smart. Okay.
They can, in theory, be smart, and this is an example of one of his spawn brothers. What they look like. I say spawn brother. No, I'm gonna emphasize this point. Saurus don't call each other brother or sister. They don't have those terms. They don't have terms for the entire Lizardmen race doesn't have terms for sibling. They don't have terms for parent, even though the skink priest is or Slan priest who was present at their spawning is effectively their parent. They don't have those. They don't understand.
Do they even have a term, at least like comrade or like?
Yes, they do have a term for comrade. So I'm convinced that the only pronoun that Lizardmen have for all other Lizardmen is comrade.
Is the actual legit word comrade used?
Not in literature, but the authors go out of their way very much so to make sure that Lizardmen, when they're speaking in vocabulary and when they're speaking, now to us we just refer to them as he, because he is the default
Right.
for language. But for Lizardmen, when they're actually talking in novels, one of the things I noticed is that Lizardmen don't use pronouns. They don't
Okay, interesting.
There's even a comment on it in a Lizardman novel where the Lizardman asks if the Empire captain's other name is he, because the Lizardmen thought that when the Empire captain was using a pronoun that it was a proper name.
Interesting.
And I'm just like,
Mhm.
so it's 1994 and you're gonna take like 2 paragraphs to explain pronouns to a species that doesn't understand they exist. Huh. Neato.
This has a similar energy, and this is a long shot, and I know, Fee, it's not your favorite series, but long story short, in Thomas the Tank Engine Season 4, there's a character named Rusty, where the writers also went out of their way to make sure the other characters never give Rusty a gender. They will always refer it to as, that's Rusty, Rusty's doing this. So it's always interesting seeing like proto stuff like this. But now, that does lead to the question, is this literally a race of all lizard men? Obviously, we've had the talk, there's no
Okay.
genitals. So there's no lizard women?
There's no there's no lizard women. I mean they could prefer to identify as those pronouns. We don't know. The
But
actual
biologically.
Yeah, the actual novel I mentioned, by the way, is The Burning Shore 2004 by Robert Earl, um, in which a Saurus warrior is going around killing a lot of humans, and it turns out at a certain point he wasn't actually supposed to kill those ones. Anyway, it's really expensive to get a physical copy of this book now. It's like $300, and I'm just like, no. Um,
Okay, I'm not going to ask the stupid question without going to the. Why $300 for a book? Is it just because they're so out of print?
Out of
Yeah.
print, rare, hard to get.
No one's made a PDF of it.
I mean, there's PDFs of it, and that's what I use to
But some
read.
people prefer to have physical copies. I mean, I prefer
Yeah.
to have
Right.
physical copies of my books, for example.
I,
Getting a physical copy of Xenology for 40k, for example, that was bloody expensive. I'll tell you that now.
like
Because I wanted an actual physical copy.
I find that staring at a screen hurts my eyes personally.
Yeah.
And I would like to have a physical copy of a book in order to read. It's particularly because like when I'm reading on a screen, I get distracted by things like people pinging me on Discord, or my phone goes off with a message from social media that I have to look at. But if the screen is not convenient to look at, I'll focus on the book and ignore it.
Right. Also, piece of advice, Fee, interesting fact related to this. Anybody, no matter even if you have perfectly normal eyesight, there's been studies known, when you're staring at a screen, your eyes blink less. So it's one of the things that's referred to is after about 20 minutes or so, it's called the 20-20-20 rule. After 20 minutes of looking at a screen, look at something 20 feet away and then blink your eyes 20 times.
Yeah.
I still get your point.
But yeah, it's just I find it easier to read a physical printed book than I do to look at a screen and read a screen. But I also, I'm going to be entirely honest, I find it absolutely easiest to listen to audiobooks nowadays, because I can have them playing while I'm working on something. And then when something like really off the wall happens, I can pause and go, wait a minute, and then rewind like 20 seconds and be like, what? um I also find that audiobooks do make it where I can do this podcast easier, because I can start the audiobook on, I can pick one book for the week and be like, okay, I'm going to start this. I started on Monday when I lay down to go to bed. And after the 30 minutes to an hour to fall asleep, what'll happen is I will remember the point at which I stopped listening and went to sleep, and that's where I'll start it the next night. So I'll manage to get through the entire book by Friday or Saturday morning just from listening to it passively as I'm trying to fall asleep.
Cool. So yeah, back on topic. So there are only lizard men. There are no lizard women.
Yeah, there are only lizard men. There are no lizard women. They are entirely um
Cold-blooded.
yeah, they're entirely cold-blooded, which is why they also haven't moved out, which is why they don't tend to move outside of the area of Lustria, because when they start to get into the colder regions, like the Empire has winter 5 months of the year that is bad enough that if you're staying outside, you will die from the cold.
Which, though, that reminds me, there was that one. I think when we were going back, it was like episode 1 or 2. There was like the frog people. Yet they live where it's absolute frigid, and it's confirmed they're cold-blooded.
Yes.
This at least is again. This follows the science of they're cold-blooded, so thus they stay in warm climate.
Correct. The Famir who live in Norska for some insane reason. Norska and Albion, but who live in freezing cold areas and rely on geothermal vents to keep warm. And I'm like, you're cold-blooded and you live in an area where entire armies have been known to freeze to death.
I just picture they wear those really huge puffy coats that like is my headcanon. But anyways, back to these lizard people.
So I keep mentioning they live in a place called Lustria.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that Lustria was Australia but with nightmares.
Yeah.
So hey Remleiz?
Mm-hmm.
How bad is Lustria like to live?
Basically, it's like living in Jurassic Park after all the fences have gone down.
Oh.
So we said dinosaurs, we meant dinosaurs. I'm going to give you a list of dinosaurs that the Lizardmen tame, and these are just the ones that they tame. Salamanders who breathe fire.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was acid. They spat acid.
They are fire-breathing reptiles. There's a variant that spits acid, and there's a variant that spits, and I quote, a noxious poisonous gas. So there's basically a variant that walks up and goes, "Hi, mustard gas." Pteranodons, stegodons, Troglodon, which is well, okay, it's these.
You might want to put pictures on screen for Ginger, just so you
Because you're starting to list names, and I just it's becoming what the.
That's a Troglodon.
Yeah.
It's basically a Spinosaurus.
Its mouth, I know it's not, but its mouth looks like an AI made it. That just
They're basically little little tendrils like you get from like in Star-Nosed Mole, essentially.
Yeah,
that's a stegodon, what you or I would refer to as a triceratops.
Yeah,
that's the funny thing is, there is actually a real prehistoric animal called a stegodon. It's actually a species of mammoth.
There's also the pterodactyls, which look like which to be fair, their version of the pterodon looks like it bred with a lizardman, but we know that's physically impossible.
But yeah, I get what you say.
There is the ultimate statement of the lizardmen, and that is the one way you know lizardmen are definitely around is when you hear the roar of a Carnosaurus, which, unlike the real-life Carnosaurus or T-Rex that had mostly vestigial, like, front arms, no, this fucker's got... those things can pick people up and slam them, or, hold them for convenient biting.
See,
convenient biting.
I'm going to raise you one further than the Carnosaur. Something that's even bigger and more dangerous than the Carnosaur.
How can you get more dangerous
than this? Dreadsaurian.
Yeah, okay, that looks more dangerous, especially that you've added armor to it.
Okay,
yeah.
It's not just he added armor to it. You notice in the lower left that little guy?
Yeah.
That's a full-size Saurus warrior.
How tall are they on average?
About 2
About 6 feet.
meters.
Speak American, please.
6 foot. 6 to 7 feet is their average height.
Okay.
Are
Oh,
you
that-
sure
that-
that's a Saurus and not a skink? 'Cause it looks like it's got a skink crest,
It might.
but it has got a spear and shield, so
Yeah,
it could be.
it's-
I like also now having a guest.
It might be a skink variant of a Saurus because I mean he's got the Saurus shield and the Saurus tail and the Saurus spear. So I'm guessing it's a Saurus or it's a Skinks who just picked up someone else's weapons.
Basically, Ginger, they're this big.
Yeah, no, that's a better illustration. Total War Warhammer.
Yeah,
is a better
that's a big
illustration.
boy. That's a big. That's a damn boy. That's big. That's a big boy.
You have cold ones, aka Velociraptors. They are
Okay.
also as intelligent.
Imagine
They're also as intelligent as raptors.
Which is how intelligent.
Jurassic Park.
Did they change that then?
Jurassic.
Because I remember when cold ones were given to Lizardmen, they were described as being very dumb and dim-witted.
Yeah, they were described as being very dumb and dim-witted to start with, but it turns out that when I did deeper reading, what the Dark Elves discovered about their cold ones is that their dumb and dim-wittedness is only from those that are bred in captivity. Wild ones are incredibly intelligent.
Right.
Like, what level of intelligence are we speaking? Are we talking like a dog? Like, what level are we talking?
Clever girl. Near ape-like.
Ooh.
There's also this lovely guy called the Razordon, and you can imagine why he's called a Razordon.
He's basically an
I like-
Ankylosaurus.
I know it's maybe just the art in my perception. He kind of looks like, oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Yes. Oh, no. If you get that feeling from that, here's the Bastylodon. He is a good boy.
Oh, he is such a good boy. He's a good boy.
That's just the dinosaurs of Lustria, however.
And
just
don't
the
forget,
dinosaurs. Like, whoa, what are they gonna bring in next? Birds?
don't forget the horned ones as well, which are basically like a horned version of cold ones.
So, I'm going to now list the things that live in Lustria.
Like the flying snakes.
So first off, we have flying snakes that range from the size that have species that range from the size of small copperheads to full-size flying anacondas.
And bigger.
We have what are referred to as the man-trap plant. So these are semi-intelligent plants that roam around, dig pits in what are well-worn pathways, and then cover the pit with dirt and their mouth. When you step on the dirt, it collapses and you fall into their mouth like a Venus flytrap. Think Victory Bell from Pokemon, but with a plan.
Oh God.
There are over 100 documented poisonous insects species.
Just in this area.
Just in an area roughly the size of South and Central America. Yeah. It's actually, Lustria is bigger than our South and Central America by a lot, but yeah, just in this area. You have jaguars, somehow, that survive in here. You have savage orcs, as we talked about last episode. Have you
also go on.
Go ahead, Ginger.
No, this is just a quick one, and I remember it was in the previous episode. Is there at least a good distinction between orcs and ogres?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But we'll talk about that later. Go on.
Have you ever played Ark?
Vikings?
Have you ever played Ark Survival, Ginger?
No, I know of it.
Do you know what a terror bird is?
No, but why do I have a feeling you're going to show me a picture?
So, this is what a terror bird is. They're about the size of a car, and they're extremely hyper-aggressive pack hunters.
Yeah, they look it.
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen the movie
What-
10,000 BC, you've seen the terror birds are the things that are chasing them through the reeds, but that's a very old movie.
You've also got in Lustria undead.
Oh, yes. Yes. We must once again on this show for the every single episode, somehow they managed to make it in. We must mention the vampire pirates.
Fortune favors the infamous.
I can't wait till we finally get to the vampire pirates. But what do the lizard folk and the vampire pirates have to do with each other?
So,
Basically, what happened was a ship that was carrying a vampire's coffin shipwrecked on Lustria's coast. The vampire raised all the sailors as basically zombie pirates, and you created a region of territory called the Vampire Coast.
that's not the entirety of it.
That's a grossly oversimplified version of events.
It gets worse. He was actually here to hunt for Lizardmen gold, and he found it. And the Lizardmen gold itself cursed him. And the way the curse works is it's so remember the Pirates of the Caribbean first movie where like they had to gather all the pieces of 8 back and return them?
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, this is a really prevalent legend from the Caribbean anyway. But the funny part about this is Luther Harcourt, the person who has the curse gave him a true blue, total split personality.
Uh-oh.
And it's 3 different personalities in the same body, all having, and he can switch which one is in charge at the snap of a finger.
So wait, he has control of the personality.
No, he does not have control of personalities.
Oh, okay, because I was about to say that's not how split personality
You
works.
can make an alliance with him, be at the document signing, and his personality can suddenly bang, and he pulls out his gun and shoots you. And even he doesn't know why anymore.
You've also got Amazons in Lustria as well.
Oh god, yes. So you have Amazons who also
Mhm.
I can't believe I have to say this again because
Mhm.
because Warhammer, for some reason, despite having Slanesh and literal talk of like the Norskins being kind and the ogres being kind of rapey, has a total aversion to female sex for some reason. Hey guys, maybe you want to hire a female writer or two. Amazons also reproduce asexually.
Wait. And I'm sure we'll have a whole episode. So Amazons, I'm assuming, are an all-female
An
race.
entirely all-female race that reproduce asexually simply because 2 Amazons liked each other and held hands. They give birth to a genetically identical female children, verbatim from the last Amazon book.
I don't know how loud that came out because I have a pad on my desk. I literally banged my head against my desk because of just the frustration of like.
Now, they can...
No, I have to interrupt. At this point, it's not that they need a woman, which I think would help, and I agree. I think every writer in Warhammer, if I was head of Games Workshop, I went, y'all motherfuckers need to go to a sex ed course today before you type another goddamn letter.
Now, Amazons can reproduce normally as humans do.
Okay.
But because they have an strict all-female society, to do so means they either have to leave their society or they have to kill their mate.
There's so much. Oh my god. If you go on, let's change topics before I like actually break something.
Okay, well, in which case, if Blood Bowl's to be believed, in addition to Lizardmen, there's also Snake Men.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's
Ooh.
also just they're snaky boys, and there's snaky girls too, which makes it even funnier. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, Blood Bowl has.
Show me the snake girls. Show me the snake girls.
I just did.
Wait, that was a snake girl.
Yes,
It's part of the
Okay.
Amazon team, so I assume so.
they're part of the Amazon team, and the funny part is that's what a snake girl looks like, because you know, the Warhammer went, no, we're not gonna give them boobs, and
Yeah, because it's a weird Warhammer's like dedication to like anatomy is really bizarre because like technically yes, as much as like the lusty side of us likes whenever we make anthropomorphic women we like to give them tits, but in reality because amphibians do not produce milk, then thus they do not have a need for what's the actual technical term for milk glands, but whatever. So it weirdly enough, it is also accurate.
now I'm gonna no, I'm gonna send you the next picture.
I was going to
Okay.
say, my mistake, the guy I sent was actually a snake boy, my mistake.
Okay, but still, regardless, still very,
guess what
very
his
cool
name is?
design. What?
Guess what his name is? His name
Um,
is Boa Constrictor.
God damn it!
Also, I like that he has a 13. I whenever I
Yeah.
can, I like to have 13.
I have to emphasize this
Anyway.
from
13 is the number.
I have to emphasize this just for lore purposes. Snake men do participate on the Amazon team. They and snake men and women, snake women do live in Amazon villages. However, snake men are actually from the other side of the world, a place called Koresh. And when we get to talking about the other side of the world, where Warhammer India and Thailand and what would be Australia are, you're going to get a very different experience than what you're expecting. Let's just put it that way. And it's going to start with the Dark Elves woke up something they shouldn't have, and now there's no Australia.
Sounds about right.
But anyway, back to Lustria. So you have all of this. There are hundreds
Norse.
of there are hundreds of other horrific things in the jungle. On top of the fact that every single bit of water next to Lustria has the name blood in its name for the body of water because it's that loaded with sharks and what are called leviathans.
Like legit leviathans.
I'm just gonna read the list of the
I'm
things
assuming
under.
Leviathan as in like the prehistoric Leviathan, as in the giant carnivorous sperm whale.
We're gonna start with no. That's not what I mean. I mean sea monsters. So we're the Leviathan in and of itself is often confused. It's a giant hermit crab. Okay, it's a giant hermit crab. That's what it
Okay.
is. It's a giant hermit crab. But there's also the black Leviathan, which we don't have a lot of good artwork of these guys because they're the Navy game isn't really that embraced. But there's a lot of these things. So the black Leviathan is the anglerfish at the lower right. By the way, all of these are bigger than any boat in the human empire. The crab, there's the crab Leviathan, the kraken, the giant sea serpent, megalodons, the narwhal behemoth sperm whale whose horn actually fires magic.
And King Triton from The Little Mermaid.
Oh yes, there's Manon and King Triton. And Triton is a bad evil man, and Manon is a good man, and Triton is only bad and evil because no one worships him, and he's upset about it.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so there's a lot to take in right there. First of all, I want to say the behemoth looks like the whale from the cover of that one Mastodon album. Secondly, who did you say is bad only for the fact because no one worships him, and who's good?
Triton is bad, and Manon is good.
Where is Manon? I was trying to see a picture. Is Manon not anywhere in these?
Manon, hold on, because I showed this to my friend Moon last night. This is a picture of Manon rising out of the sea, right here. Oh, that did not work as intended. That's a dragon turtle.
Oh, okay. Because I was like,
Let me get this fixed.
yeah.
Minor error. Let me get this fixed. Here we go. So this is Manon.
He looks like a cool dude.
That's him rising up out of the sea with a great white shark speared on his trident, carrying an entire casting net of fish, holding the skull of his wife as an anchor.
Okay. Wait, okay, hold on. Okay, there's a lot to take in. First of all, how tall is this dude?
Yes?
Give or take.
Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Little Mermaid.
Wait, so is he like, okay, for lack of a better term, is he normal human size or is he big?
Big, like Ursula and Triton having a fight in Little Mermaid and it causing the ocean to have a hurricane.
Okay. So, okay, well, secondly, the way the picture is just pretty cool. He looked like, you told me like, he's got a shark, he's got fish. He looks like he's he's like, I have brought the food, let's party. But then you mentioned that he's carrying his wife's skull.
So I would have to go look up the lore for that exactly, but I know that it's the skull of his wife that he carries as an anchor.
And it looks like it still has some magic attached to it, at least the way the art makes it look.
And that big bird, that bird there, that's a giant albatross. These also live in Lustria, and they're seagulls that prey on humans.
Which, for those who don't know, albatross in general are big birds, so you've took an already big bird and made it bigger.
But I talk about all these creatures because the Lizardmen did tame one last creature. And it's important to know the last creature they tamed because it comprises most of the Lizardmen navy. And it's the dragon turtle.
Okay.
And it's literally what it says it is. It is a turtle that breathes fire and is a dragon.
Because the writers got bored and decided to smash creatures together.
And it swims around, and lizardmen ride on its back and use it for boarding actions, or when they need to cross large bodies of water, they bring out the dragon turtles and ride on the back of them.
So instead of boats, they just use these.
Yes. And they can breed. Oh yeah, those are terror birds.
What the hell are those hell spawns?
Those are terror birds.
Yeah, that name kind of fits.
They hunt in packs. They're incredibly hyper intelligent. And what they're eating is a carnosaur. That's not a person. That's a giant dinosaur that they brought down.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're scavenging. No, they're just finishing the scraps.
Okay, I can see what you mean by Nightmare Australia or, Brazil. Yeah, Jesus.
This is where the lizardmen live, and the reason the lizardmen live there is because they're cold-blooded. Now, what the lizardmen refer to as warmth, they refer to is a term that they call like their inner I forget what it's called exactly, but it's basically, to them, warmth is the energy to do anything. They live in a place, so they'll sit out on rocks and sunbathe like cats. They'll
Also, that's a fire-breathing leech.
Oh yeah, fire breathing leech. Because you needed that in your life.
Again, I think they literally, if it sounds like, it sounds like some, game you play with your friend where it's like, let's fuse, these two characters together. I feel like this race of creatures, like things, is just this.
I mean, if you want a basic image of what Lustria's wildlife's like, it's basically this. It's like Skull Island from King Kong, the Peter Jackson version. You know,
Actually,
the
yeah, no,
pit.
you're right. It is Skull Island King Kong Skull Island incarnate.
Yeah, this picture gives me a great idea of what the hell this. And okay, assuming comparison that their world is, and the similarities are ours, why don't they then just go to like our Mexico, for lack of a better term, or is there a lore reason?
So they live all the way up in our Mexico, but there's a lore reason why they don't live there anymore. So the one Skaven clan who made it across the ocean to this continent is called Clan Pestilence. They are literally the Skaven clan of plagues and disease.
Oh,
The lizards were so incensed by their presence in Lustria that the great Slans got together and 4 of them sacrificed their life force into a spell in order to turn the occupied city of Quetzal into a crater.
And not only that, unless they changed some law recently, but the red-crested skinks, who are the most drastically affected by the plagues, they literally forced a brand new god into existence to fight the horned rat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that too.
They literally prayed Sotek, the serpent god, into existence as the enemy of the Skaven god, the horned rat.
They literally, yeah, they literally took the time.
They literally prayed a god into existence.
He's skipping forward to religion, but he is correct. They prayed a god into existence to kill the horned rat.
That's some like anime bullshit right there, but I kind of like it.
Remember how at the very start we said Lizardmen are kind of not affected by chaos? Well, they definitely can have an effect on the realm of chaos, and so
Right.
Sotek is a giant flying snake, rainbow snake god.
He is basically Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, he's basically Quetzalcoatl from our real life, made manifest.
Because as we know, Lizardmen culture is effectively a version of Mesoamerican culture in a way.
Yeah, they use
Like a weird mishmash of it. Like it's a weird mishmash of like Mayan, Inca, and Aztec.
yeah they use Aztec weapons. They have Mayan sacrifice rituals. They have a couple of other Native American aspects to how they wear their armor and stuff like that. But more or less, they're a weird mismatch of Mayan and Aztec. And they
And they have
also
spaceships.
I was
Wait,
getting there.
hold on. What the hell's going on in this picture? What the hell?
So
This is some like history. This is some History Channel.
yes,
like, ancient alien
it is
shit.
100% History Channel ancient alien shit. The Lizardmen pyramids are actually spaceships.
Yep. They are the ships of the old ones, effectively.
It is 100% the ships of that the old ones came to the planet on that got left behind that still work, that the Lizardmen maintain. And the funniest part is the Lizardmen don't die during the end times. They just get in their ships and the Slan finally get them to take off. And they leave.
Okay, this goes into a deep category. So aliens exist in this world. Okay. But I'm not.
Old ones were definitely aliens.
Yep, because they also exist in 40k.
Right.
They're extinct now. Because they're the ones who went to war with the Necrons.
Yeah, but that's 40k. We're talking about fantasy.
Yes.
Which,
however, I do want to point out one thing. In the 3rd edition Necron Codex, you could actually use Lizardmen on tabletop to represent descendants of the old ones. So you can actually have Lizardmen fight Necrons.
And the other funny part here is that the so we mentioned fantasy and 40k. So on Balthazar Gelt's desk, he is the Supreme Patriarch, aka the person. It's either Supreme Patriarch or Matriarch, depending on gender. The person in charge of the Altdorf College of Magic. He's the one in charge, and on his desk is an orb. And when you use arcane power to view into that orb, you see what's going on in the 40k universe. So to Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40k is literally just a galaxy in an orb.
Wait,
It's not just
hold
that as
on.
well, because there was actually
Wait.
a Dungeon Bowl story, like a Blood Bowl story, in where like a human player and an undead player end up going through a magical portal and end up in 40k in the middle of a battle between Necrons and the Nids, and then a Gene Stealer comes back through into the Warhammer Fantasy universe with them and starts killing everyone on the Blood Bowl pitch. That's a real story.
Wait, hold on. Oh, this isn't just pump the brakes. This is slamming the damn brakes. So wait. So if I understood all of that correctly, the 40k universe exists within Warhammer?
It exists within as just a magical artifact that holds a galaxy. The same way that Men in Black had a galaxy in a marble.
This is some TV show within a TV show kind of.
I mean, technically, the official answer is that 40k and fantasy are separate universes. However, they are interlinked via the warp.
Yes.
The warp literally links them both because.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now.
Because the funny thing is, if you look at the 8th edition Fantasy Demons Army book, there's like a map of the Realm of Chaos, and you actually have in it the Eye of Terror, which is from 40k.
Okay, I have to mention 2 other creatures from Lustria because they are specifically things that have to be mentioned. So for anyone who's an arachnophobe, I got to tell you, don't go to Lustria. If you think the forest goblins have giant spiders back home, no, don't go to Lustria. Don't.
Are we talking even bigger spiders? I like spiders, so let's see where this goes.
They can't be as bad as the Necromundum Bloodmare spider, which is like about 8
Lustria
stories
has
tall.
giant spiders that range in size from the size of a human foot, that are extremely venomous and poisonous if they're that size, to
Of course.
what is called the dragon-eating great-legged one.
Ooh.
Which is a species of extremely rare spiders that are specialized at eating things up to and including dragons.
Do we have art of this? Because this sounds really cool.
Just to give an example, this is what one of those spiders at a juvenile stage looks like. No one has ever witnessed a full-sized one and lived. In the lower right, you will notice the human skeleton.
Oh, okay. That's a decent sized spider.
Yeah, that's a juvenile. So if you think goblins and orcs have giant spiders, oh boy, no. The other creature is called the brain fluke.
Okay.
So it's a small 3-inch in length flatworm. It is a parasite that seeks warm-blooded animals and will go in through any orifice on the head in order to eat their brain.
I'm not surprised that's where that went. Like you described its size, I'm like, oh no, nope. Yeah, that's where it's going.
Even if removed in time, their essence will cause what is called the brain rot, which is where a person slowly mentally degrades over the course of weeks, months, or years, depending on how long the worm was inside them, until their brain is completely melted and they die because their brain ceases to function. There is no known cure. So if one gets inside you, it's over.
Moving on.
Yeah, Lustria's messed up. But yeah, the Lizardmen have spaceships. They don't understand how they work, which is why they're still here. Because apparently the great plan is for all of them to get on the spaceship and leave. But
no one's tried to smash buttons and get the thing to take off.
That's the thing, because they're all stone. There's no recognizable button to smash. You have to figure out what the button is. And the
Oh,
button can
okay.
be the button can be something like you or I would press, or it can be something the size of your entire body.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now why they can't figure it out. And I'm willing to bet, this is just me, throwing spaghetti at the wall. It could probably even range to where you have to, I don't know, do a spell or incantation or something to get it started.
Pretty much. So there are people who have landed on the Isles of Lustria, and the Lizardmen hate all of them. We talked about the vampire pirates. There's an Empire enclave, who is the hunt master of the Empire, who's dedicated to hunting down the Great White Dread Saurian. There are dark elves in what is effectively Warhammer Canada, which is why the Lizardmen haven't wiped them out, is because it's too cold. There is a rogue Tomb King. I've mentioned this guy 3 times now. There's a rogue Tomb King. There's just a rogue Tomb King. No one knows how he got over here. He knows how he got over here. Go ahead.
He knows how he got here. No one else does.
Yeah. Because the Tomb Kings live on the other side of the world in what would be our Egypt and our Africa. So no one knows why he's here, how he got here, or what's up with that. He knows
really original guy. Really original guys. Let's have. Okay. Sorry, real original guys. Let's have someone from a tomb from Egypt. Ooh, that hasn't been done in media 1,000 times already.
Yes, Remleiz?
But you do actually have some Lizardmen living in the Southlands of the Old World as well. I think it's like only one temple city, though, but you do have some. I think they got stranded there when the continents got split asunder.
There are...
Wait, hold on, what?
In Warhammer, the continents used to be Pangaea, and the Lizardmen did, in fact, live at the time of Pangaea. And when the old ones left, they split the continents asunder because, as far as anyone knows, it was a part of their great plan. And there is an enclave of Lizardmen who live on what would be our East Africa / Madagascar region. Who've just been stuck there the entire time, and they act completely differently than the Lizardmen of Lustria.
Well, how do they act then? Are they more...
So the Lizardmen of Lustria can be described as very, very pragmatic. They act in a measured... So the Lizardmen of Lustria act in a very measured way. They have an interbreeding of ideas between the various priests about how the great plan should be executed, and have more of a close-knit society, whereby one particular sect of Lizardmen and another particular sect of Lizardmen probably still get along with each other, even if they have different visions for the great plan.
For lack of a better term, the idea of how American society should work, for lack of a better term.
The Lizardmen on the Western Lizardmen, or the Old World Lizardmen,
oh boy,
are hyper-focusing psychopaths.
There's also the fact that Southland Lizardmen also have far fewer Saurus compared to Lustria.
They have far fewer Saurus. They have to heavily rely on their skinks and their for combat or their dinosaurs that they breed. They go out of their way to murder, not just kill. Like, if they capture you, they're sacrificing you to their god type of murder. And they will go out of their way to hunt down individuals who they have a particular dislike of. And when I say hunt down, there's a skink priest who's been chasing after a dwarf for 200 years.
Even the elves are going, let it go already.
The dwarf has even marked him off of his book of grudges at this point because he's like, he's not worth it. I'm like...
But wait, hold on a second. Because without going into dwarves too much, but you're like, isn't a book of grudges, unless I misremembered, can only be if you kill the person, or is there a book of grudges that can be done and cleared off in non-killing ways?
There are 3 ways to clear a grudge. The first one is The person who inflicted the grudge upon you dies. The second one is the person who inflicted the grudge upon you comes to you knowing you have a grudge against them and offers proper amends and restores everything that they cost you and the things that would have been beneficial from the if the thing they cost you had not been destroyed in the first place. And the third way is the dwarf decides that no, you're not worth continuing to hold a grudge against and just marks you off.
Okay, that puts because that's kind of interesting, and we'll obviously get more to when we talk to dwarves. But okay, good to know there's like more than one way to settle a grudge. All right, cool. Go on.
But yeah, the Western Lizardmen are absolute crazed psychopaths. Everyone to them is food or murder, and yeah, they're really hyper paranoid knuckin' futs.
Which is saying something considering how the other ones. It's the Lizardmen going. We may be trying to kill everyone else, but at least we're not them.
And they're also dangerously hyper intelligent.
Wait, okay. That part got really interesting.
Because they're mostly skinks, and the skinks are the smarter species of lizardmen, and because they've been spawning mostly skinks for so long, and they don't get a lot of Saurus in their spawnings. An example is Oxyotl, or referred to as he that hunts the unseen.
Oh yeah, he's literally just Doom Guy.
He is literally Doom Guy.
Which is pretty cool name, by the way. Hunter of the Unseen. Not gonna lie, that's pretty cool.
He is literally Doom Guy. He uses his primary weapon is a blowpipe, and his secondary he uses a poisonous blowpipe.
Oh, okay.
His secondary weapons are toxic grenades, and also he has serrated claws that he used Old One magic in order to keep in this world, so when the demons he killed tried to fade back to the warp, he actually killed them.
Ooh, okay.
He's also a chameleon skink, so he can, camouflage. And when I say camouflage, I'm not talking like active camouflage of like Halo, and I'm not talking like the chameleons we have where you can probably pick the chameleon out if you're looking long enough. No, when a chameleon skink is camouflaged and not moving, or even if he's moving very slowly, you will not see him.
So more like Predator camouflage from the Predator movie.
Yes, much more like that. Except,
do we have a picture? Mm-hmm.
Except there's no there's no like shimmer or anything. He is perfectly blended into the background. Their skin actually compensates for depth perception.
Ooh, yeah. The one can argue also in the Predator movie that effect is used so we, the audience, can see it and understand. But yes, this is the dude.
That's a picture of him. And when demonic legions burst forth into the city of Ahutek, the Lizardmen were going to die. They were outnumbered 10-1. And Oxyotl led a contingent of his camouflage troops and systematically destroyed every single demon there, including a named greater demon of Tzeentch.
Okay, they do not mess around.
He is Lizardman Doom Guy. There is no he strikes, and his ability to use his camouflage is bar none above everyone else's. He literally will strike at you in melee, and then by the time that your eyes recover to relocate him, he's already recamouflaged.
Damn.
It's not like a rapid camouflage either. It is, I am not camouflaged, I am camouflaged. Like snap of your fingers level change.
Yeah.
He Batman's people. It literally, when I say he disappears, it's like Batman, where you're sitting there talking and then you turn around and Batman's gone. Except in melee combat, where you're actively staring at your opponent and he's Batmaning you.
Now, does this ability ever make its way into any of the Warhammer games?
Yes,
tabletop games.
Yes, the tabletop games, he has a what's called an invulnerable save or an immortal save, based on the fact that you can't see him.
Though my question from again, as someone has most of the base knowledge of this, how did the game developers balance that so it's not absolutely OP in terms of
in tabletop games, invulnerable saves give a number from 4 to 6 on a 6-sided die. That if you roll that number, whatever hit you doesn't do any damage. So the best ones are 4 and the worst ones are 6. His is a 5 up, so a 1 in 3 chance that you could direct hit him with a cannonball. Doesn't count. So
he also had a very low toughness as well. So he basically had toughness like wet tissue paper.
yes,
so he's glass cannon.
Yeah, he's glass cannon, but he's very hard to actually damage. But when you do damage him, he's going down. Next we have Croak, Lord Croak, who is a mummified Slan that just refused death.
Yeah.
Some old one taught him, and he's the first one to ever use the winds of magic outside of what... so Lizardmen normally have access to the lore of life and light. So they normally only have access to 2 lores. And they use light and celestial lore to do things like call comets or divine the future. And they use life for healing. Well, Lord Croak learned death magic. And he uses that death magic to actively keep himself alive. He is the only undead lizard man. And he's mummified. He is entirely mummified at this point. His body is basically a shriveled husk, but the magic inside keeps him alive.
And he's alive, not like a husk, but he actually has the
He's
brain
undead. To us, he would be undead, but to the lizardmen, they consider him still alive.
But for without getting, so could he still converse and still have thought?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just you will be sitting there talking to him for several minutes, and he won't move. He won't say anything.
Okay.
And then suddenly you'll think, "Is he okay?" And then he'll snap his head to you and start talking.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, because undead, there's different definitions of undead, but it's that one. Okay, got it.
He's basically a lich, essentially, in a way.
Okay.
A weird mummy lich.
He does die. So Lord Croak does die.
Yeah, he's still active in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, he's still active in Age of Sigmar. But Lord Croak actually died a long time ago, which is why he's now an undead husk. Originally, he died in negative 44450, which is 4,000 years before the Empire ever existed, at the hands of demons. And he's just been roaming around as an undead husk. He has missing body parts from the battle where the demons ripped him apart that they just haven't found.
Now, where did I put my hand?
Yeah, sometimes he's got a few fingers missing. His most of his lower jaw is not there. But he's alive. Up next, we have the undisputed leader of the Lizardman.
Okay.
Master Mundi. He's again a Slan.
He was the guy who rode a dinosaur we talked about earlier.
He is the oldest, most powerful living creature in all of the old world. He is the only living person to have spoken to an old one.
And the old ones are the gods, for
the gods who made the world 10,000 plus years ago.
Whoa.
He has spent countless centuries trying to study and not understand so much, but remember what the great plan actually was. He's got a bit of Alzheimer's.
Wait, he legit has Alzheimer's?
Yes, because the old ones told him what the great plan was, and he forgot.
Well, it was over 10,000 years ago, in fairness.
You know, in fairness, yeah. Even the elves are probably going, yeah, that's a long time, buddy. Yeah, you're gonna forget something. But Jesus, like,
And he's
wow.
and his
You
great.
didn't think to write the plan down?
It is written down, but he's forgotten the language it's written in, so he has to study the prophecies over and over again to try to remember how to reinterpret the language. And his greatest epiphany recently was, and I quote, "The Lizardmen have failed to accomplish the first decree. The extermination of lesser races is not part of the plan. We were supposed to protect them."
Whoa, okay, holy crap, that just like blew the doors wide open about this. Oh my, wait, okay, so the Lizardmen are thinking they're supposed to be exterminators when in reality they're supposed to be the protectors?
That was what that's what Master Mundi's most recent interpretation of the Great Plan is.
Have any agreed with him, or have they all said that's bullshit, old man?
Well, none of them have said that's bullshit to his face, but many of them still act in their own interpretation of the Great Plan.
But are there any, like, a decent amount? I'm sure there's always going to be the one dude who's the yes man, but there aren't any who've went, oh, we should stop trying to kill everybody and maybe try and protect everybody, or is no one done that?
It is an ongoing debate in Lizardman society as to what this epiphany is supposed to mean. And I'm gonna say this, not because I'm being necessarily mean towards other people, but Ginger, have you ever watched two Jewish rabbis debate on the meaning of a piece of scripture?
Yeah.
That's what's going on, but with 100 rabbis.
Oh, oh God. Oh, two's bad enough. Had 100. But I just want to, for me as a writer, I would feel this is the writer in me. I think it would make a great story, and I'm sure I'm using the wrong terminologies, but for lack of a better term, a small clique of Lizardmen who heard that and went, oh, that's what we actually needed to do. And like, I don't know, I couldn't think of the plot, but just the general idea of them just going, wait, we actually need to be the protectors, not the eliminators.
So there may be that may exist, but in the Warhammer Chronicles books, the short stories, there is a short story where it shows the debating hall in the city of Hexatl, the Lizardmen capital of Lestria, where Master Mundi made this revelation 2,000 plus years ago. And the Lizardmen in there have been debating it for generations.
Oh my God.
Lizardmen have died, and their position has been filled by another who have then come in to continue carrying on the debate in their great predecessor's name.
Oh my God.
The debate hall has never ceased debate. It only has people have to leave to go do other things as others come in to take up the debate of the Great Plan's decree. And this short story is just like 10 pages of what's going on in that debate hall.
Is this like an unintentional commentary on how kind of debate clubs at the end of the day, while it's an interesting skill, are absolutely useless?
Quite possibly. The next great important Lizardmen we have is don't know if I can pronounce it. Krogar? Is that it?
Krotgar, yeah.
Krogar. He is considered the last survivor of a ruined city of Zahult. And he rides a Carnosaur. He's also considered possibly one of the smartest Saurus warriors to ever live.
I like this guy's energy, and I also like the thing. What is he riding on?
A Carnosaur.
I like this Carnosaur too. I like the energy off of this picture. I like it.
I just want to say, Ginger, do you know much about Transformers, perchance?
Very little. Like, watched the cartoon when I was a kid, and the
Okay.
most.
Because Krotgar's Carnosaur is named Grimlock,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
the leader of the Dinobots.
He shares the name with the leader of the Dinobots, and he's just as. And,
Wait, Dinobots. Are we talking? Hold on. I remember you unlocked a core memory in my brain. So there's Transformers. I remember watching the Transformers. It was horrible CGI, but man, the show was good. The one where they land on that planet and they all have to be animals.
no.
No.
Oh, then I have known to go on.
So
Nope.
it's stuff like Grimlock no like you. Grimlock think this bad. Grimlock this hurt.
Okay, then I have no.
But
Basically, a giant robot T-Rex.
for the but for the Carnosaur, that's the smartest Carnosaur that's ever lived. For for general intelligence though, it's like a really intelligent puppy.
I can talk.
No.
Oh, can't. It
Well,
can't talk.
Krotgar says he can talk, but only Krotgar understands him.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying,
okay.
who's a good boy? Yes, you are.
Krotgar specifically hates elves. He blames
Okay.
them for the destruction of his city, and he says that they are not a part of the great plan, to the point that even though before Master Mundi's current revelation, so over 2,000 years ago, Master Mundi tasked Krotgar with exterminating the lesser races that were not a part of the great plan. And now Master Mundi has been actively trying to hunt Krotgar down and tell him, no, I messed up.
Yeah, there's a great Eddie Izzard bit where he's talking about, you always see in these like, release the Kraken, and he goes, and there's never a bring back the Kraken. He literally has to bring back the Kraken, for lack of a
Yeah,
better.
he tried to go bring back the Kraken. And the weird part with Krotgar is he's also called the Traveling Lizard, because there is no continent on which he has not personally fought, including the North and South poles that are against the edges of the realm of chaos.
So he is literally the Johnny Cash song "I've Been Everywhere" man incarnate.
Yes.
How? Okay, because we haven't touched on this. How old, unless you obviously like have that magic where you can practice being basically, you can do necromancy on yourself. How long can these lizard men live?
Well,
Pretty much indefinitely.
Lizardmen biology, from the old one's original creation of them, does not age very quickly or sometimes at all. Krokdar has been carrying on for centuries, if not millennia, with Master Mundi's original decree, while Master Mundi has been chasing him for a couple of centuries to tell him, wait, I screwed up.
Obviously, this is a world where, we don't have like modern means of transportation, but you'd think after a while he'd catch up to him at some point.
No modern means of transportation except for the spaceship.
Well, remember,
Yeah,
I'm making a joke.
Remember, Master Mundi also has a little bit of that memory blanking going on. So sometimes he goes, "What was I doing?"
oh, that does not. Okay, that
And it gets even worse in the fact that also Master Mundi appears to have ADHD, because anytime he runs into something interesting, he has to go look at it, and he might study it for like a decade. So
this is a world where Concerta Ritalin does not exist.
So if you've seen a recent example of this is the anime Furin, where she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go look at this thing," and Fern has to go, "We don't have a decade."
Yeah.
It's that type of deal going on. So I showed you him earlier, but we have Gore Rock, who is from a spawning of lizardmen that are all albino. He's called the Great White Lizard, and he is considered the most renowned, but also the most intelligent Saurus to ever live. He speaks 21 words.
Oh. Now, does he speak 21 words in different languages or only 21 words in one language? Because that would still be impressive if he could do 21 words in different languages.
We're pretty sure it's the same language. But
Oh.
the thing about him is he just refuses to die.
But isn't this a race in general that, or is this like this is the equivalent of like he's this version of Rasputin who they keep trying to kill him. But
You
he
see
won't
that
die.
scar across his eye?
Yeah.
That's from where an orc choppa thrust his choppa into his brain, and the second scar is where he pulled it out.
Basically, his local lizard is too angry to die.
Yeah, local
Yeah,
lizard too
yeah.
angry to die. But he's he lives at the tallest pyramid, where he remains mostly motionless until battle comes upon him, at which time he suddenly springs to life with a speed that even for an elf is terrifying. So not only is he the smartest Saurian, he's the fastest lizard man in the world.
Damn.
He's the fastest thing alive.
Yes, he's Sonic the Hedgehog, the Lizardman. Okay, up next, we have a man called Chothax. I think I pronounced that right. Chothax. The Aztec names are gonna mess me up. I'm not apologizing.
You might want to put the names on screen so you can try and read them along.
And so Chakax is what is called a temple guard. These are special Saurians who are bigger and more muscular and heavier than the normal Saurians.
They're basically the elite guard of the Slan.
Their sole purpose is to protect the Slan. So not only are they bigger, they're actually overall slightly smarter, in the sense that while they don't have many more words they can use, they have a better understanding of what they're supposed to be doing, and they don't have lapses in judgment or memory, which is why the Slan prefer them. He's just considered the eldest of the Temple Guard, where he basically, when a new Temple Guard comes in, he is the one who trains them and how to see things. He's also the only... His claim to fame is this. Skaven Clan Etchen, when we talk about Skaven in the next week or two, Skaven Clan Etchen, when they decide they're going to assassinate someone, almost no one has escaped. Their Skaven Clan Etchen's claim to fame is, quote, "When we decide you die, no one will escape our wrath."
Except for this guy.
This guy has gotten so good at spotting assassins that no matter how many Clan Etchen assassins they've sent after him or the Slans he protects, none of them get through. Not one. That's his claim to fame. He is the one guy that Clan Etchen has not managed to get an assassin through.
He is going for the lose no squad mates to death achievement. Seriously.
Yes, and he has been protecting Slans for 5,000 years, and not a single Slan under his protection has died from an enemy.
Damn.
So if he shows up and says, "I got you, sir. You have just
He's
been
got you."
escorted by the Lizardman Secret Service. You are good."
So, but jokes aside, apart from that, does he like protect, or is he like other races, or is it again this whole where he will only protect fellow lizards?
He is mostly assigned to protect fellow Slan. However, there have been 2 incidents in which a Slan has assigned him to protect someone else outside of Lizardmen, and he just shows up and protects them. One instance was Gotrek and Felix were trying to hunt down a rogue Lizardman, and he showed up and said, "The Slan says Gotrek must live." To which the Slayer goes, "I'm supposed to die in battle." Slan says no.
We need you for the sequel.
Um,
And just to make sure, those are the two. It's the bard and the dwarf, and the dwarf saved the bard from
from the
the
window
protest.
from being run down during the window
Yeah, I
tax
just wanted to make
riots.
sure I had the right characters. Yep,
Yep,
cool.
yep. It is the most famous duo of Warhammer.
I kind of just most of these stories I have no interest apart from tiefling stuff, but the more I keep hearing about this particular like duo, I think I might actually read them.
Well, if I was to tell anyone to actually read a Warhammer fantasy book, I would tell them read Gotrek and Felix. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you the very first book starts with a bar fight where Gotrek smashes a bunch of people's teeth out.
Let's
That would
go.
be Troll Slayer, the name of the book.
The Lizardmen have a long history, so they have a lot of famous Lizardmen. The next one is Tihan Huin. God, these names.
Right. So, fun fact. When this character was first introduced in 5th edition, that wasn't his name. His original name was, and I quote, Teeny Weeny.
What?
Yeah, no joke, it was Teeny Weeny. No joke, in 5th edition.
Oh.
This is why we need to have guests more often, because like I'm assuming everything you're telling me is for the most part factual with this, and I have no clue.
This is true.
No,
This
he's
is true.
right.
No.
He's right. I'm looking this up. Oh my god, his original name is Teeny Weeny.
And at the same time, in that original 5th edition book, there was also another skink called Itsy Bitsy.
Was that what? Did he also have a spider?
No, but there was actually a character in a short story called Yellow Polka. So Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka dot bikini.
Oh god. What?
Whoever wrote that one deserves some kind of award. Not an
I
Nobel
believe it
Peace
was
Prize,
Nigel Stillman.
but that deserves that. Sir, you deserve some kind of accolade for that. That's good.
So Teeny Weeny, aka Tihan Huin, is a red-crested skink. You'll notice the big giant red crest on his back. It's a special spawning of skinks who are, quote, destined for prophecy. And he is said to be the prophet who brought Sotek, the giant snake god, to fight the Skaven into existence.
This is the dude responsible for making a god exist.
His actions are said to have changed every Lizardman's interpretation of the Great Plan, because when he brought the god into existence, no one's interpretation of the Great Plan said that god would exist.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He changed the Great Plan, and they kicked him out for it.
They hated him for he spoke the truth.
Yes.
Yeah. I put a picture on the screen basically from his original model catalog thing with his original name. So there you go. That's original model and original.
That's actually
Teeny Weeny Prophet of Sotek.
that's really good. But yeah, they kicked him out, and he has been pursuing, chasing, and trying to murder Clan Pestilence since then because he hates Skaven that much.
Yep.
By the way,
remember, because it's been a bit. Skaven are the rat folk that exist but don't exist.
Skaven are the rat men that Boris the Incompetent decreed don't exist. By the way, this is a black and white image, but you can see the size of the snake god in the background.
Okay.
Like Godzilla-sized snake.
Oh, I just remembered something. Because we didn't talk about them when you talked about Skinks and Saurus. We forgot to talk about Croxagore.
We did forget to talk about Croxagore. I will circle back to Croxagore as soon as we finish these last three, quote, important ones.
Ones.
So the next one is possibly the strangest lizard man.
Strangest?
He is a skink, but he is allowed to ride on the platform that the Slann use, which is a very big deal because that platform is geometrically aligned and feng shui-ish, I guess you would call it, to help the Slanns channel their magic. He is called Teto Echo, the astronomer of constellations. His sole job is to use the constellations and the moving of the various astrological bodies over the planet to reflect into the Old One's great plan, because the geometric symbols and things that the Old Ones use to reference the great plan and tell the Lizardmen what the great plan is react to celestial movement and celestial divination.
Why do I feel at some point he has said some version of Mercs in retro?
Yeah, to some degree, yes. So, to give an example, he was actually spawned when so there are two moons of the world of Malice. There's the true moon, as the Lizardmen call it, and the cursed second moon. And when the true moon completely obscured the cursed second moon, he was born. And the reason why the second moon is called the cursed moon is because it looks like this, and it is believed to be the source of all warpstone in the world.
More Schlieb. That's the name of the moon, by the way, More Schlieb.
Its name is More Schlieb, yes, that is correct. I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I figured you might. And I didn't want to embarrass myself.
It doesn't look that cursed.
Except for any night in which More Sleep is shining and Man Sleep is not, is said to be, it usually has some sort of horrific dark omen about it. There's an entire game of the second Warhammer Fantasy video game called
Dark Omen.
Called Dark Omen, where because More Sleep is shining, a vampire lord is able to bring about the near apocalypse.
Okay, I can see why people. Yeah, okay.
To Skaven, this is the true moon, because to them it's a giant piece of warpstone, but to everyone else, no, bad. Even the Norsicans call it the Black Moon. It's not black, but they call it the Black Moon because it's a horrible omen. Anyway, yeah, so his job is just to divine the stars. That's all he does. He also lives in the place with my brain just died. With Chikax.
This is the place where your brain just died.
Yeah, he lives with Chikax because the Skaven assassins are so determined to assassinate him because his divinations have led to entire Skaven societal collapse in certain places because the Lizardmen have been able to eliminate key figures to keep a Skaven city together because of his divinations. The Skaven hate him.
I don't know if the technology exists, but I picture him chilling at oh man, there's a term for the big telescope, an observatory, and looking at the stars through a big telescope.
And as I said, there are pterodactyls and pterodons, and there is a skink priest who specializes in them. Tic-tac-toe. His literal name is Tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, teeny weeny, itsy bitsy, yellow polka, and tic tac toe.
His literal name is Tic Tac Toe. TIKTAQ apostrophe TO. Tic Tac Toe. And he's called the Eye of Heavens, and he literally is the lizard man who specializes in breeding and training pterodon riders. He is the Lizardman Air Force.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Here's another picture to illustrate. Just straight up Lizardman Air Force. That's what he does. He goes out of his way to ensure that the tradition of pterodon riding is not lost, and that the tradition of breeding pterodons properly is not lost. And when he goes into combat, it is said that if he were to descend upon an army with the Lizardman Air Force, they would have to contend with 10,000 pterodons if he could gather them all in one spot.
Ooh. Now, question.
His other job
Mhm.
is to use
Go
his
on, go.
pterodon riders to deliver messages when teleportation is not available.
Now, my question is, and this might be me, another episode of Scott reads a little too much into fiction. Does he have an apprentice or someone he's teaching in the event that he bites it? Or is he just so thinks he will not die that he's not even doing that?
I have to emphasize this. Lizardmen don't believe they're gonna die.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Anytime a lizardman dies, it has been described that there is a genuine expression of shock on their face because they did not ever expect it to happen.
Okay, that
Now,
okay,
now,
no, that just explains a lot about their society. Go on.
now we mentioned a fourth species of lizardmen, the Croxagore, and I was saving it because I wanted to save it for this moment because I wanted to hear both of your reactions. So I would like to introduce you to Nakai the Wanderer. And when I say he's a big boy, he's a big boy.
Yeah, to put into perspective, Ginger, Croxagores are basically like the Lizardman equivalent of ogres, like in terms of size. Like they are huge.
So how big?
That's Nakai the Wanderer.
Basically, someone just
okay.
took a T-Rex and gave it an axe.
Okay, they're that big. The last picture helps to give context. But I like the first one you sent in the bottom left. There's the guy vibe. He's like, "Yeah, boy, go get it, go get it."
Yeah, that is the vibe. Nakai the Wanderer is a lizardman ancient Croxagore,
Yeah.
and he wanders the world trying to reassert and right the Great Plan. He is the only Croxagore to ever actually be able to interpret the Great Plan, though his communication skills are still more or less point and grunt.
Okay.
He has his spawning involved much thicker natural armor than normal Croxagore spawnings, to the point that there are stories of at point blank range a handgunner shooting him in the chest and the bullet failing to penetrate.
Okay, that's some thick armor.
Something, damn boy, he thick.
And
Yeah, exactly.
there are entire spawnings of Croxagore. They're huge, giant, and they're called Croxagore because their jaws act like crocodile jaws. So, imagine, if you will, a 12-foot tall lizard man with a jaw equivalent size of a Nile crocodile staring at you hungrily.
Now this is slightly going into the weeds. I forget if it's crocodiles or alligators where they have a lot of bite strength, but if in theory you then put your hands over it and prevent it from opening, it has no open strength.
Both species have no open strength, and yes, the same. So there's a snippet of Nakai the Wanderer where he goes to bite a Bretonnian peasant, and the Bretonnian peasant presses the wooden blunt end of a pitchfork against the underside of his jaw, and he can't open his mouth to bite the Bretonnian peasant. And then in frustration, he just swipes the Bretonnian peasant with his giant clawed hand.
Right, of course. That I'm not surprised by that.
But yeah,
it's just
no, you could hold his jaw shut with apparently a broom handle.
Or I just have the picture of, when you see lobsters at the grocery store just wrapping like a rubber band around his mouth.
I want to have that drawn now, but I don't know if we can afford it at the moment. Just have Nakai with a rubber band around his mouth looking adorable. Like, please, I won't fight.
Yeah, he just probably just has a doodle. That eye image just has cute, like, cute doodle energy. But anyways,
Um,
Well, I tell you what, there is an image that you might appreciate. In which case, of a croc squirrel and a halfling.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, you not steal my sausages.
Another example. So the reason it is believed that Nakai is so intelligent and has become this great symbol of what Croxagors can strive to be, is because he fell ill from wounds inflicted by a rat ogre from Clan Pestilence. A rat ogre, by the way, which had been modified by Clan Molder specifically to kill him. So this foul disease had him unconscious in a coma, experiencing a fever, which, if you know anything about cold-blooded creatures, a fever is much more lethal to them than it is to us. Because our bodies will regulate our temperature and make us cold in order to prevent the fever from killing us.
right, and then we can self-regulate our own temperature and make ourselves warm and so on and so forth.
Cold-blooded
Yes.
creatures can't do that against a fever.
Ooh.
So the skink priests whipped out balms and ointments that are normally reserved for Slann because they are so rare and incredibly difficult to make. One such ointment takes 1,000 years of fermentation before it's ready to
Damn.
be used. And it broke his fever, and he stood back up and immediately said, and immediately is the only Croxagor on record to speak actual words, told the skink priests, "You come with me." And then proceeded to lead an army to go finish breaking Clan Pestilence. And that's why people follow him. He also prevented the zombie, the vampire pirate Luther Harkorn at the Battle of the Eclipse.
The zombie vampire pirates are they're just gonna like pop up it's like just some little Easter egg. Okay, every so often they're just gonna weasel their way into it.
Every continent has a zombie vampire pirate of some sort. Even
It's like
it's the one thing that you're almost guaranteed to have to say at least once when you talk about anyone in Warhammer Fantasy. And then the vampire pirates. Wait, what?
Okay, so let's get any more of this. We need to what more do we need to discuss that I need to know about the Lizardmen?
That's it. The Nakai and the Croxagor were the last things. We've talked about their society, their reproduction, their gods, how they're the original, they're the first creation of the old ones to act as servants, and how they terribly interpret the Great Plan. This is the big overview of Lizardmen. Remleiz, is there anything else you want to discuss about Lizardmen before we get to our last segment?
There would be, but it would probably take so long we probably simply don't have enough time. I was just going to talk about how skinks back in 5th edition fantasy, despite having one of the worst stat lines in the game, were the single most broken unit. But unfortunately, I don't have time to go into details.
We might want to do a follow-up to this and then at some point. But the kind of questions that I have just of this world, it's like, okay, so we discussed in the reproduction. Then we'll go to the numbers that I always kind of compare each race to. It's like, okay, average poverty level. What is poverty?
The Lizardmen do not have an economy.
Okay, that answers that question.
You have in Lizardman society, you have a purpose. That purpose is decided by the Great Plan. It may be changed by someone else's interpretation or a reinterpretation of the Great Plan, and it is guaranteed that you will be doing that purpose. They do not have a concept of money.
Okay.
They understand other races have a concept of money and will use that concept to get other races to do things for them.
Got it. Okay. I'm just trying to think of other. Okay. I'm just trying to think of other things like we compared. Oh yes. you gave the number. I always forget what it exact. X amount of people have to live in poverty in order there to raise soldiers. Is there a similar one, or because, like you said, there thus is no real economy, everyone's a soldier, quote unquote?
Basically, if they need soldiers, there will be soldiers spawned. Yes, predestined by the Great Plan.
And if the great play, if they suddenly need soldiers, your job is now soldier.
Okay, got it. That. Trying to think of anything.
Because while
else.
skinks normally act as like like scholars and scribes and interpreters and all that, in battle they will take the role of like skirmishers, archers, infiltrators, that kind of thing. They're basically to harass the flanks and pepper them with poison darts and arrows and javelins.
Then that gives another follow up: is warfare. We've obviously seen they have dinosaurs and all that. Do they believe in the quote unquote modern warfare, or are they much more like? Do they use, for example, guns, or do they not use guns? Like you mentioned,
They had the Bastiliodons. They have laser cannons attached to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
have magical laser cannons formed from like giant crystals that focus like sunlight into like a killer laser beam.
So it's more like I gave like the Norskins, if I have the right ones, they were like, oh, we won't use anything with technology. Lizardmen will pretty much similar in this, where the Tieflings use whatever means that they can afford and get to. I'm assuming same. Obviously, Lizardmen have a favorite one, but in terms of weapons, whatever, if they can get it, they'll use it. Kind of.
Their weapons are generally fashioned from things such as like, because they don't really forge anything per se. They use weapons they can like basically beat into shape. So things like obsidian, brass, gold, that kind of thing. Because it's very difficult to do iron work in the middle of a jungle that's also raining for 3/4 of the year.
Yeah. Okay. No, that helps to understand what kind of weapons we're talking about. Got it.
Also, here's a picture of the Bastiliodon with its laser cannon.
That is, yeah, that is accurate. It is a giant magically enchanted gem that fires we describe it as a laser cannon. It's what it is. It literally just fires a deadly laser, like you putting a magnifying glass over an ant.
Yeah. Oh, I found a better actual image of it in use. It's from Age of Sigmar, but same principle applies.
Literally, the sun is a deadly laser.
I don't think there's much left. I'm just trying to think of any of the other like questions I've asked about like the common things of all the other races that I can really think of, because there's some things that I can't really ask because they don't exist, obviously, because it's a single sex race. There's no monarchy or not monarchy, male or female dominated, because there's just one race. So I think oh, now I remember. So the ones you mentioned that are like of the smart ones, are they actually, like we made the joke, oh, this is the smart of this, they know 21 words. But the ones that are actually quote unquote bred for intelligence, are they like the equivalent level of someone who can hold a full conversation?
Yes.
Yes.
There are stories of literally like a lizardman skink conversing to a Talian, basically a human from Warhammer Italy, but speaking to them in Bretonnian. So basically they can speak other languages. The only downside is that their tongue can't pronounce certain words just because they physically can't. But for all intents and purposes, they can speak other languages. They can communicate with other races. So like if you can speak to like an Italian person in French, essentially.
To illustrate this further, the Lizardmen skinks are said to be able to pick up and use another language just by listening to someone converse in it.
Okay, cool.
Which is also why, like, one of them had to stop and go, this word "he" is that a proper name for you? Is that a title? And they're like, no, that's a pronoun. What's a pronoun?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Fun fact is that in Age of Sigmar, this even goes even further to the point that the Lizardmen actually have embassies in the cities of Sigmar in Age of Sigmar, which is kind of funny. So like literal skink ambassadors that like working in the embassy. So they're just talking to random humans like, hello, how can Sotek serve you today? Even though we don't worship Sotek in this timeline, we worship Dracothian. He's a different guy, but that's something altogether different.
Yeah, I'm just picturing fantasy version of the UN, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
All right, yeah, that's pretty much all the questions I can think of. We definitely...
Do you have anything to add, Remleiz? I know we skipped "Shut Up and Take Our Money" and
I
the
apologize for that.
and the
No,
totally
it's
not a.
fine.
We know we knew you had a limited time. We were starting to run over time, so I went ahead and got to the end.
Yeah, well,
We'll have to do a follow-up at some point. But
agreed.
yeah, but no further questions to ask so far.
Everyone, Patreon. We need we need 3 more people now to pledge $1, and we will have a unique custom piece of artwork for every single episode. As you can see across from me right now, we did make a unique piece for Remleiz for this episode.
Aye.
We're going to try to do this for all our guests. So I've got a piece now in progress for our next guest, which is going to be in 2 weeks. In the meantime, though, next week, because we've talked about them a few times, Ginger, how do you feel about Skaven?
What are we talking about, Skaven? What are you talking about? You're crazy.
Oh, right. They don't exist. How do
Yeah,
you?
they don't exist. What are we talking? Yes.
Remleiz, is there anything you would like us to shout out or mention while you're here, other than what's in the description?
You can shout on my channel. You can shout on my Patreon. I'm sure Fiora and Ginger will put my social media links in the video description, like my Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. Because they're very nice people who will do that kind of thing.
Yes. Also, because we try to make artwork open for everybody, the art piece for Remleiz is also available for download in the description. And lastly, please do come sign up for the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay game that will be taking place in November. The first game date is November 17th. It's on Wednesday nights. Wednesday night being East Coast time Wednesday night. But this comes with the caveat of, if you want a tabletop game and you've been looking for a tabletop group, I want to remind everybody the Red Hearse game is still going. It's been going for 5 years. The Here There Be Dragons game that I ran went for 2 years, and the Fallout Equestria game that we are wrapping up in a week. This was its 7th year on stream. So if you want a tabletop game that you know is going to keep going, games I run on this channel go for years, straight up.
Yeah, if he likes what she does, she'll really go. Didn't you make the joke one time that there was more episodes of Fallout Equestria than there are of Golden Girls?
There are more episodes of Fallout Equestria has surpassed Golden Girls, the actual My Little Pony show with over 200 episodes, and the weird one here is recently we surpassed the total number of Cartoon Network cartoon style shows from the 90s added together, because all total between like Graham and Mandy, Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, Ed and Eddie, those shows have a total of 307 episodes combined. We now have 308 Fallout Equestria episodes.
Damn.
Anyway, if you want to come play with Lucia, I'm putting a picture up so Remleiz can see her. This is Lucia, the Ice Witch, and her bear Maury. Please do come sign up. In the meantime, hit the like button and let us know what you want to see next. We're doing Skaven, and then Elves, and then Britonia. Because people want to see Britonia more than they want to see the Empire, so we're going to go to Britonia. Good night.
Laters, everyone.
Hi.